the offset voltages, the impact of the drift on offset voltage is taken care, then such a circuit can be used for any signal conditioning. Here we have studied the thermocouples in the earlier class, where the voltage can be directly given to this difference amplifier. And here the calculations are IB at any given temperature T is going to be equal to at the ambience temperature plus any drift happening in IB due to variation in the temperature. Similarly, the offset changes happening in the input offset current at the working temperature T is given by the same formula, where the variation or the drift happening in the input offset current due to delta T. We are going to discuss a numerical also on this later. So offset voltage and currents change with the time. Regularly before using, they have to be reduced to zero. The following circuits are used for adjustments considering source resistance Rs. So how do we adjust these? We understood the importance of adjustment of this and why they vary. But now how to adjust them? To adjust them externally, few resistor networks are designed. So these resistive networks help in nulling or reducing the difference in the bias currents to zero. So we'll see for inverting amplifier what circuit should be used, and for non-inverting amplifier what circuit should be used. So here for inverting amplifier, where the source voltage or the input voltage is given to the inverting terminal, and here you can see Vs plus 1 and Vs minus are the two regulated power supplies which are used for positive and negative terminals of the op-amp respectively. You can see here. These are the two reference voltage points. So the positive terminal through this resistive network is connected to a potentiometer. The two terminals of the potentiometer, the fixed ends of the potentiometer are connected to positive and negative supplies. Now why positive and negative supplies is basically because this offset can be positive or negative. If it is positive, then negative side the voltages are increased here by adjusting the potentiometer, and that can be added and you can nullify the effect. So because of that, we make use of both positive and negative terminals, and the central variable terminal of the potentiometer is connected to this positive, so that we are reducing the bias current which is getting connected to this non-inverting terminal in the first case, and in the second case to the inverting terminal. By varying the supply or the bias current to these terminals respectively, we can reduce the final output. And we already know that this offset voltage exists because there is a difference in the bias currents. By reducing one of the bias currents or in the proper direction, positive or negative, we can reduce the difference, that is IP minus IN can be reduced to zero By doing this, IIO can be reduced to 0. So what is the requirement here? Now here you can see there is a resistive network designed. Actually this R3 and R4 are not going to play any role in the gain. It is only R2 and R1. Plus here there is going to be a series source resistance which is coming into picture. Now how exactly this circuit functions with. By doing this, whatever voltage is getting supplied at this positive terminal is changed. So the potential which is supplied here is changed, or in other words, by this resistive network, we are changing whatever current is entering into this point. That is nothing but your bias current which is supplied to the positive terminal. It could be IB1 or IB2. So for this, what we need is the resistive network, proper resistive network. Now, how exactly this is designed? Here the basic idea is the currents which are coming here are to be made equal. So, if the current coming in here is dependent on this value of resistor, then the potential which is getting dropped here at these 2 points can be made equal. So for this, R3 is made equal to R1 parallel R2 minus this value of R4. So this resistor R3 which is equal to R1 parallel R2 minus this value of resistor. So by this what is happening, whatever the potential which is coming here from this, so this is getting properly divided between R4 and R3, which is dependent on R1 and R2. So by doing this, the drop which is coming to this point and this point are going to be equal. Similarly, the same strategies applied for the non-inverting terminals as well. Here you can see the same value. Again, the source resistance Rs, which also has to be considered because this will be around 50 to 100 ohms for any good source. If assume that your R1 is equal to 1K and Rs is around say 100 ohms, then effective input resistance is equal to 1.1 kilo ohm. Actually for our calculations we take it as 1K, but effectively what is available here as input resistance is, or what is appearing here at the input terminal is 1.1 kilo ohm. This makes lot of difference with your beta factor also. The beta factor is equal to this resistance divided by R1 plus R2. That is R1 dash or Rs plus R1 divided by R1 plus R2 gives me the feedback factor, which is always less than 1. So when it gets multiplied by the difference gain, whatever is the result, that is very much greater than 1. If 1.1K divided by, assume that your gain of the amplifier is 10, then R2 is obviously 10. So 10 plus 1 is 11 in the denominator. 1.1 divided by 11 in the denominator gives me your beta factor less than 1. When it gets multiplied by the difference gain, that is AD, which is of the order of 10 to the power of 6. So 10 to the power of 6 into around 0.1, which is 10 to the power of 5. Still the difference gain AD remains very, very high. If you make proper adjustment here, then automatically the beta factor or the AD, which is very, very high, which is amplifying this, whatever the voltage difference VIO present here, Even if it is in microvolts or nanovolts, around 1 volt of voltage will be appearing here because of the high difference gain. This can be reduced by properly dividing the potentials here through these resistive networks. So that effectively what voltage appears here at inverting and non-inverting terminal is exactly equal when there is no input given. Even if the voltages are available here, they should be equal. If the equal voltages are there, automatically they get cancelled and AD into VIO, which is almost 0, gives you 0 offset voltage. So this is how, by externally connecting the resistors of proper value, you can reduce it to 0. Because RS has to be always considered, the source resistance. This cannot be adjusted. This is coming out of the device. So the device resistance, the effect can be nullified, but the resistance cannot be made equal to 0. But the effect can be nullified by adding this source resistance to the input resistance, and accordingly the other parallel resistive network can be designed to nullify the effect of this source resistance. So by doing so, we can reduce the offset voltage. So regularly, before using the op-amp circuits, these networks have to be connected and offset has to be reduced to 0. Now another factor here is the power supply rejection ratio. Now whenever we change the power supplies, the power supply rejection ratio, if it is high, then any variation, any microvolt level of variation happening at the offset voltages due to change in the power supply, one reason. The second reason is when you use it over a wide range, say from 0 to 30 volts, the offsets produced may vary. These varied offsets in turn change the sensor values because the offsets at the input terminals are changing with the variation in the power supply. So this variation in the power supply, which changes the offset voltage, in turn gets added to the sensor reading. So this power supply rejection ratio also has to be kept in check. And always in the data sheets, the power supply rejection ratio is mentioned and it is available to you. You can decide the op-amps with the proper power supply rejection ratio as per the requirement of your application. And this ratio is always mentioned in dBs, decibels. So it is basically any variation in the voltage, how many microvolts of output is changing for this particular variation. You can select the range, and for that particular range, how many microvolts of change is appearing at the output you can see. So this gives you a ratio of microvolts to volts, where the output is in microvolts and input is in volts. So this ratio, that's why, because the range is very, very high here, microvolt to volt. So always these are expressed in dBs. So any fluctuation that happens due to varied range of usage of the power supply or change in the power supply, altogether I say that okay, this power supply is not suitable for my application because of some fluctuations. I can always change the power supply. Under such cases also, there may be a possibility of change happening with the input offset voltage due to this power supply change. So these things have to be regularly adjusted again. So before using any power supply or changing any power supply, one has to use it over the wide range or the entire range of the power supply and see what is the power supply rejection ratio variation. If the power supply rejection ratio variation is in the specified range, which is specified in the data sheet, and if the system which you are using for that, this power supply rejection ratio is okay, only then you go ahead with that power supply. If the specifications are not matching with your requirement, then you can always go for another power supply so that your readings, whatever you take, are correct and the DC precision is maintained. Due to PSRR, the DC precision should not vary. Also, this varies with the frequency. So you have to check it over the range of frequencies which your application demands. If your application starts from say 1 hertz and till 1 megahertz or 2 megahertz if your application is, then if that is the range of application, then accordingly you have to use this power supply and vary the frequency and see what is the voltage available for this range of frequencies. There also you calculate the power supply rejection ratio. If it matches with the specifications in the data sheet, only then you go ahead, so that your data sheet is available for different ranges whenever you want to apply the correction. In the data sheet, the different ranges of power supply, the voltage variations and the frequencies are mentioned, and accordingly what correction has to be applied to the output voltage, that is also mentioned. So you can check with the data sheet and check practically whether the circuit is matching with the data sheet specifications, and then go ahead and introduce this in the circuit. By doing this, your readings, whatever you take, are going to be reliable, accurate, and as per the requirements. So next is design of chopper amplifiers. This I will take up in the next class. Any doubts here? Regarding power supply rejection ratio, any doubts?